Pixie and Cheatin just placed 4th in the FNCS Global Championship, winning $300,000. But there's just one thing, they were never supposed to be there in the first place. To understand how this came about, we need to go back to FNCS Major 3. Now this was the most recent online FNCS where in EU, the top 10 teams in the grand finals would qualify to the Global Championship. And to make the grands, you need to place in the top 50 most consistent teams in the region. But that brings us back to Pixie and Cheatin. They actually never played together going into FNCS. And I don't mean they didn't play beforehand, I mean they didn't start playing until the very last qualifier. You see, both of them played with different teammates at the start of the season, but after they both placed very poorly during the qualifiers, they pretty much had no chance at qualifying to the grand finals. So obviously both teams decided to split, and that's when Pixie and Cheatin decided to give each other a shot. Now even though they had zero chance at making the finals, the FNCS Last Chance Major was only 2 weeks away, and that was their very last chance at making it to the Global Championship. So going into the last qualifier of Major 3, they decided to treat it as practice and a chance to see if this duo would work well together. And after placing 69th and 13th, they made it to the finals of that week's qualifiers, where they managed to get 17th in the end. Now even though this wasn't insanely impressive, it still showed them that they can compete with the other top teams in EU. So after grinding for the next 2 weeks, the last chance qualifier was here, their last chance to make it to the big stage. They managed to make it past the opens and in the semifinals just squeezed their way into the finals after getting 39th. So now all they needed to do was place within the top 9 teams and they would make it to the LAN to compete for their share at $4 million. But that's much easier said than done. And going into the finals, things started off horribly. The first 4 games they got a 23rd, a 37th, a 23rd, and 22nd. With only 2 games left, they were at the very bottom of the leaderboard and it was looking like they had no chance to make it. But they knew if they just had 2 insane games, they could do the impossible and make a comeback. So hopping into game 5, they needed to give it everything they had.
Led coming from the skies, Pixie and Cheatin on the same side too are able to actually get by all the pressure.
But the builds are running so low for both these teams.
Mantle
Cheatin with the mantle, but he can't close out.
It's the dude who has his own though, and he gets some HP2 from the Siphon. Now finally, a few more mats down, 2 left for Pixie. 1 more shot and he can still cover. Drops it and it's good, Pixie.
A 10-kill win was exactly what they needed, but they were only 14th on the leaderboard. And with the points being extremely close between so many different teams, they needed another pop-off game. So in the final game, it was time to see if they can make that comeback of a lifetime.
So if they can close this one out, we might just find them with an upset in the leaderboards, but still so much teams to work through. Pixie gonna be able to find a nice elimination there onto Yarko. Cheatin will go down as well to Cry, and now Pixie left as a solo on the low ground, trying to see if he can move his way through some of these pre-existing builds. Eats a huge shot off to the side, will be forced to run around, but Pablo
Cross to more builds, what a nice move from Pablo.
With a 2-kill third in the final game, it was looking like they may have just done it. So all that was left was to check the leaderboard to make sure.
We set the table at the start of the night. It is time now to reveal which of our 9 EU teams are going to Global Championships. For the final time this evening, let's take a look at the standings.
They ended in 10th place, only 2 points away from 9th. Ending their dreams at playing at the FNCS Global Championship. But wait, you might be wondering, how did they manage to place 4th at the Global Champs if they never even qualified in the first place? Well, this is where things get a little crazy. With the whole war between Russia and Ukraine, Epic made it so Russian players were unable to earn prize money from tournaments. And with that, they couldn't compete at LAN. And at first, we saw the FNCS winners Swizzy and Putrick both get DQ'd from playing since they were Russian, even though they just won. And it just so happens that a team Howley and the Frizzy that placed 2nd in the last chance qualifier were also Russian, therefore disqualifying them from playing. So that meant that their spots would end up getting rolled down, so now 10th place, who was Cheatin and Pixie, were now qualified to compete in Copenhagen. Even though they qualified, they still didn't have their spot in finals yet. The way you made finals in Global Champs was the top 50 teams who qualified through FNCS would compete on day 1, and the top 25 from that day would go on to make the finals. And on day 2, the remaining 25 teams that did not qualify would play with the 25 teams who made it through the last chance qualifier. So now that brings brings us to day 2 of the FNCS Global Championship, the last hurdle they'll need to face in order to make the big money in finals. And things were looking promising to start. It seemed like they would have an uncontested drop in North Brutal Bastion, and after a 1-kill 14th in the first game, they were on pace to qualify. But it would be game 2 where they would show why they deserved to be there.
Pixie and Cheatin down below on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're still forced to deal with the congestion that remains.
Bryce and Chubbs have a chance. It's down P8 then. Saving that siphon for later. Top 2 situation with Cheatin and Pixie being our final duo left alive. Keto's on the other hand using that early high ground to his advantage, but it only lasts for so long. Cheatin and Pixie take the game.
With a 6-kill win, they had officially qualified themselves into the grand finals. And luckily for them, it looked like they would still be uncontested. But going into the finals, everyone was still unsure how they would do since this is the biggest tournament they've ever played together. Hopping into the first game, they would get a 1-kill 12th. Not bad, but they need to do better if they want to place well. And in game 2, they would do just that.
Materials. Zone is taking him out until the final shot is in. There it goes. Pixie and Cheatin take the game.
A 6-kill win put them in 2nd place, also in contention to win $1 million for first place. But the big question was, will they continue this momentum in game 3?
They can be the first team to try to get 3 VRs on the day. They already have 5 eliminations, more maps than they know what to do with. Another elimination, and this is a chance for both Pixie and Cheatin to try to pick up the points. A 2v1 situation. They got their 7 eliminations, and it's Karmy who's already outside of the zone, and he doesn't even survive a chance to fight the 1v2.
They would get back-to-back wins for the first time at LAN since Aqua and Nyrox at the World Cup. But even though they just won 2 games in a row, they were still in 2nd place, but this time they were only 6 points away from first. So at this point, they pulled ahead so far of everyone else, it was looking like a 2-horse race. But it would be in game 4 where disaster would strike.
There's more builds being completely ripped through here.
Front side of zone is where he finds something. No, he slips off the mount. He's got to be very careful here as it bounces back. So unfortunate. Player above him. He's going to have to charge it up in no time. Vino finds him there.
They would go down in 20th place. But things weren't over quite yet. Everyone else at the top of the leaderboard also had a pretty bad game. However, Cooper and Miro did end up increasing the lead a good amount. So in the second to last game, this was their chance to pull ahead for the first time in this tournament. But
Pixie and Cheatin are as well. Except one might say Pixie and Cheatin, much worse situation as they were finished off before.
A 34th place. After 2 really bad games, Cooper and Miro pulled ahead by 82 points from second. It was looking like all hope was lost for the win. But remembering back to the last chance qualifier, they were 4 games down at the bottom of the leaderboard and they never gave up and they still managed to qualify. So they knew if they just had one more crazy game and first place went down early, they could come through and win at the last second. So it was time to see if they could make history. But dropping in off spawn, this would happen. Luckily though, they were able to get the res and loot up. And heading a little bit more into endgame, their loot was looking really good. But as the zones pulled further and further, their heals slowly started to diminish until they were at the point where they pretty much had nothing. So now the only way they could have a chance to get back into this game and win was if they got a refresh. But as they started fighting to get one, Cheatin would go down. So with barely anything, Pixie needed to pull off the impossible. But then...
Rocket Rammer, anything in sight. He's just got to keep going. Vino shuts him down.
He would go down, ending their global championship run. And sadly, they would drop down from second in the 4th place. However, they still managed to prove that they are some of the best players in the game, even though they never technically qualified. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to help support me. Also, go check out some of my other videos. I'm sure you'll enjoy them, and have an amazing rest of your days. Peace out.